Hi everyone, I'm Madison. Thank you for clicking on my channel. In today's video, we're going to be going through all of the books that I read in September, October, and November. If you hear some humming in the background or some tipper-tappering, the humming is coming from my dryer. It's almost done, so hopefully it'll be quiet soon. The tipper-tappering is my dogs. They are downstairs. We have hardwood. And they have nails. I have been gone for a moment. I needed to take a break for some health reasons and stuff like that. I was just... physical health was not doing well and we needed to figure that out, my doctor and I, and work on a routine and some things to help me out. So it has been a moment, but I'm back. I'm feeling better. Mental health is also better. And the holiday season is always a great reason to start reading. And I've kind of gotten myself into a bit of a schedule so I can film more regularly. With that being said, let's get into the video. So I'm going to start off with the books that I read in September. I believe I had made a TBR. I could not even remember, honestly. It's been a minute. So starting off with September, I read 4 books. That kind of seems to be the theme. That's kind of why I wanted to wait and film this after 3 months. But the first book that I finished in September was Legendary by Stephanie Garber. This is the second book in the Caraval trilogy, and this one follows the sister. And it was really good. I love Stephanie Garber's writing. I find it very whimsical, fantastical, lyrical writing. All the Cole words. And I think about this book often. I listen to it on audiobook on my way to and from work, and so anytime I'm driving past a certain section of my drive into work, I always think about these books. So yeah, I honestly don't remember what I rated this book. Let's find out. I have to go back to my Goodreads because I have not been keeping up with my reviews either. I rated this book 4 stars. So then, of course, the next book that I read was Finale by Stephanie Garber. I also listened to this book on audiobook, and it was very enjoyable. I think I like the premise of this book the most. This one and the second book, Legendary. Caraval was good, and it was a good introductory book, but I think this ended up being my favorite, and I rated this one also 4 stars. After that, I decided to get into my TBR. I think this might have been the only book on that TBR that I actually read, and that is The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I am not a thriller person. It shows in this. I did not care for this book. I did not care for the premise of this book. It reminded me a lot of Verity by Colleen Hoover, which I know some people are diehards for this, so they're going to be offended by that. But I'm not a thriller person, so I don't think I'll ever rate a thriller very high. And not too long after this, I decided to unhaul a lot of my physical TBR books that I knew I was never going to read, and all of my thrillers being in that. And I rated this book 3 stars. The last book that I read in the month of September was Wild Love by Elsie Silver. If you have been following my videos, you would know that I have read the entirety of Chestnut Springs this year and gotten very much into my cowboy romance era, and Elsie Silver has very quickly become one of my favorite authors of the year. So I picked up her new series, Wild Love, and I thoroughly enjoyed this book. It really highlights Elsie's writing style, and I liked that it was still small town cowboy romance, but it leans more into the small town aspect and not cowboy. Actually, yeah, there's no cowboy in this, really. Yeah, but regardless, really enjoyable. I rated this 4.5 stars. And I am looking forward to hopefully reading Wild Eyes soon. As for the month of October, I did some good reading this month. The first book that I picked up in October was The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. This is one of my fall TBR books that I wanted to read. So I got to tick that off the list. I loved this. It was so fun and just a light, fluffy, good palate cleanser, witchy read. I don't think I'll ever think too much of this book ever again, but I can see why it's just like a fun read for Halloween and for the fall. And I rated that one 3.75 stars. The next book that I read in the month of October, you will be very proud of me for, and that is Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. I have been slowly trekking my way through Throne of Glass since last year. I started reading Assassin's Blade, I think, in November last year. It has officially been a year of me reading this series, and I heavily annotated this book. I really loved it. Definitely my favorite book of the series so far, and my first 5-star of the series. I think that this series will be a 5-star overall. I just am taking my time in reading this series because it's just a lot. Like, Heir of Fire put me into a reading slump because it was so good, but like the first half I didn't enjoy that much. This one I really enjoyed, and yeah, 5 stars. So after Queen of Shadows, I decided to take a little bit of a break, and I decided to pick up a little novella horror book. This is Graveyard Shift by M.L. Rio. I don't even know if I rated this book. No, I didn't even rate this book because it's a novella, and yeah, I just read it. I think I was working night shift one night at work, and the graveyard shift, perfect. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I was left with a lot more questions than answers, but this is my first book by M.L. Rio, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to reading If We Were Villains at some point, because I was just, her writing style, yeah. Great explanation. I really enjoyed her writing style, so I'm very happy that I read this book. The last book that I read in the month of October was The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. This was also in my fall TBR. I did a pretty good job at picking up books in my fall TBR, because the Queen of Shadows, this book, and the XX were all in there. I'm so glad I finally picked this up. I was working the weekend, and I decided to pick this up over the weekend that I was working, and I was trying not to like sob at how much I enjoyed these two characters. It is so cute. Oh my goodness. I think for me, my Ashley Poston tier list is still The 7-Year Slip, but then it's The Dead Romantics, and then A Novel Love Story. I love all of her characters. They're so well written and so enjoyable. I can't get enough of her characters, and I did rate this 5 stars, but 7-Year Slip still takes the cake for me. I don't know what it is about it, but yeah, but this one was a very close second. I'm so obsessed with this book. I just can't. I just love this book. But I could continue to rant and rave about how much I love Ashley Poston as an author in general, but we're not going to. Then as for November, November was actually a slower reading month for me. So in that weekend that I read The Dead Romantics, I finished this book and then decided to pick up Hannah Bonham Young's Out on a Limb, and I read like the first 80 pages and then I put it down for almost 30 days. So the 3 books that I read in the month of November are all read within like the last week of November. So yeah, it took me a while to pick a book back up, but I picked this one up and oh my goodness, I loved it. This was so cute, so adorable. I did end up listening to it on audiobook, even though I read the first 80 pages. I was just super busy at work, and I just didn't have time to actually put it in my hands and read it, but I really wanted to just like figure out what the story is, and the communication was amazing in this. No third act conflict. They were just great characters. They communicated their feelings very well to each other, and they like understood each other. And if you want a book character that is acts of service, read this book, please. Bo is amazing. Wynn is such a like great female main character and a very like understanding emotionally main character, and Bo is just so there for her, and oh, I love this book. This was also a 5-star. I feel like I was giving out 5 stars like candy, like in the last 4 books that I read, but yeah. very much enjoyed that book. So you may have seen in a video not that long ago that I had picked up The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I finally finished it, like 2 months later, and I very much enjoyed it. I listened to this on audio again because I was at work and I wanted to finish this book, but I was working. And when I tell you, I was fighting back tears to just how emotional this book made me. I want to do a reread at some point where I physically read the entire book. I did still annotate like pages and like quotes and things that I like went back to in the audiobook. I was like listening to it and I would have like downtime moments where I'd like read along with it. So I was able to annotate a little bit, but I do want to do a reread. Very much a 5-star. Such an easy 5-star, and I do want to read another book, not by her, but based off of World War II as well, that I think it's All the Light We Cannot See or something, and it's the same author as Cuckoo Land, I think is what it's called. I don't know, but I want to read that as well because I've heard that it's also based off of World War II, and I've heard that it's better than this, which is going to knock it out of the park because this was definitely a 5-star read for me. I didn't realize how attached to the characters I was until things started really happening to the characters, and I was like, what? So yeah, definitely another 5-star. So November, so far a really good month. Editing Madison here. I just wanted to clarify that The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna is a historical fiction story, so it is based off of World War II, but like elements of the story are not real. So the location that The Nightingale mainly takes place in, I think it's called like Caribou, I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm not French, is not a real place. Nothing ever happened there, it does not exist. And so like the character Isabel is based off of an actual real historical figure who actually did help airmen cross the Pyrenees Mountains, but her name wasn't Isabel. And the sister Vianne is based off of a lot of women in France in the time that was helping Jewish children and housing Jewish children. And that's the elements of the World War II that book focuses on, but it's not like a retelling or like a history text. You can't take everything literally. So I just wanted to clarify that. I think All the Light We Cannot See is a little bit more of like a retelling. I'm not 100% sure if it is fiction or nonfiction. I'm pretty sure it's fiction, so I don't think that everything is real in that book either. I just wanted to clarify just so there's not any mistakes. Then the last book that I read in the month of November was Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage. This is a new release. It's the 3rd book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series, and I loved this book very much. I have not rated it yet, and I don't know what to rate it because I don't want to give it a 5-star because it's not a 5-star, but it's definitely my favorite from the series. And I believe that I gave Done and Dusted a 4, and then I think I gave Swift and Saddled a 3.75. So if that's the range, this is a 4.25 for sure, because it was so good. I love these two characters, definitely my favorite. It's very reminiscent of Heartless by Elsie Silver. Like main character from the first book, best friend and older brother. She ends up kind of nannying for him in the summer. Yeah, it's the same as Heartless, right? Sounds very similar. Heartless is my favorite book out of that series, so of course I was going to like this. And the little kid, again, I love little kids in books when they're done right. This was done well. I can't complain. I enjoyed this book. And that is the last book that I actually ended up reading in these past 3 months. And I have not picked up a book since. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I am very happy to be back in the YouTube sphere and to start posting regularly again. I do want to kind of create more content that I'm happy with. I don't want to just post stuff to post stuff. I want to be happy with what I put out. So my posting schedule might not be as consistent as it once was, but I hope that the quality of the videos is better, so it kind of compensates for that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.